I never believed in ghosts. Not until I moved into the old Victorian house on the edge of town. It was a steal, 4 bedrooms, a sprawling garden, and a price tag that seemed too good to be true. The real estate agent mentioned something about the previous owners leaving in a hurry, but I didn't think much of it. I was too busy imagining the life I'd build there. But now, I wish I'd asked more questions. I wish I'd never stepped foot inside. The first night was uneventful. I unpacked my boxes, ordered pizza, and fell asleep on the couch. But the second night, that's when it started. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, when I heard it, a faint whisper, so soft I almost thought I'd imagined it. I sat up, my heart pounding, and listened. The house was silent, too silent, like the walls were holding their breath. I told myself it was just the wind or the creak of old pipes. But the whispers came again the next night, and the next. They grew louder, more insistent, until I could almost make out words. It sounded like someone was pleading, begging for something. I tried to ignore it, but the whispers followed me everywhere, down the hall, into the kitchen, even in the shower. It was like the house itself was alive, and it was trying to tell me something. Then, one night, I saw her. I was in the living room, reading by the dim light of a lamp, when I felt a cold draft. I looked up, and there she was, a woman, standing in the corner of the room. She was pale, her hair long and tangled, her eyes hollow and black. She didn't move, didn't speak, just stared at me with that empty gaze. I froze, my breath caught in my throat, and then she was gone. Vanished, like she'd never been there at all. I told myself it was just my imagination, a trick of the light. But deep down, I knew better. The whispers grew louder after that, more urgent. I started to hear other sounds, footsteps in the attic, scratching behind the walls, the faint sound of a child crying. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I was a prisoner in my own home. Desperate for answers, I dug into the history of the house. What I found made my blood run cold. The previous family, a mother, father, and their young daughter, had disappeared without a trace. The police found no signs of a struggle, no evidence of foul play. It was like they'd simply vanished into thin air. The house had been empty for years before I moved in, and no one had stayed longer than a few months. Everyone who lived here left in a hurry, just like the first family. I was about to do the same. I packed my bags, determined to leave and never come back. But as I reached for the front door, the whispers stopped. The house fell silent, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe it was over. Maybe I could leave. That's when I heard the voice, a clear, unmistakable voice, coming from the basement. Don't go. I don't know what compelled me to listen. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe it was something darker. But I found myself walking down the creaky stairs, my flashlight trembling in my hand. The basement was cold and damp, the air thick with the smell of mildew. And there, in the far corner, I saw it, a small door, barely big enough to crawl through. The whispers were coming from behind it. I knelt down, my heart pounding in my chest, and opened the door. Inside was a tiny room, no bigger than a closet. The walls were covered in scratches, deep gouges that looked like they'd been made by fingernails. And in the center of the room, lying on the floor, was a doll. It was old and dirty, its face cracked and faded. But what scared me most were its eyes. They were real, human, staring right at me. I stumbled back, my mind racing. That's when I noticed the writing on the walls, scrawled in what looked like blood. Over and over again, the same phrase, "She's still here." I don't remember running out of the house. I don't remember driving to the nearest motel. All I know is that I'm sitting here now, typing this out, and I can still hear the whispers. They're faint, but they're there. And I know, no matter how far I run, they'll never stop. Because she's still there, in the house, in my head, and she's waiting for me to come back.